Okay, now the next part we have to make is our crayon tube. And as long as I click it, yep, that's the right one right there. And this is the part drawing for it. So you'll have access to this on the Google Classroom. I'll show you what this thing looks like, of course, in my hand. This is the tube itself. And what you'll notice is here in the bottom we have a indent, okay? So this material right here is pretty thin, and then it goes up. And after we extrude the overall length of the tube, we're going to go down and create this little pocket down here on the bottom. After we do that, then we're going to flip it around, and we will use the shell tool to create the inner part here of the can. So let me get back to the software. Now you're going to have down here at the bottom a whole, well, I have a whole bunch of them. You're only going to have one drawing right now, which was the top part. But down on the left hand corner is this little plus sign. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to hit Create Part Studio. And what that does is that's going to put Part Studio 1 as a name down here on your list of tabs, I guess is the best way to put it. Now, I'm going to rename this right now, and I'm going to right click here and say rename, and I'm going to call this, I'm calling this CB, you can call it Crayon Bank, CB Crayon Bank Tube, and I call it student because I'm showing you how to do this. Okay, and then I just click off of it. Now I can rearrange these tabs. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull this one over here to the left so that it's to the left of the drawing, so I can click back and forth nice and easy and show these to you. Okay, so here is where I'm going to start my crayon bank. I'll zoom in on this, and the first thing I need to know is that the bank is 8.5 inches tall, so that's the dimension right there, and that it has an outside diameter of 3.3125. So I'm going to pause my video and actually draw this, and then I'll let you in on or come back and I'll show you how to do that little indent on the bottom of the can. By the way, I'm going to start with the top plane right here with a sketch and top plane right there. Okay, now tube is drawn. It's 8.5 inches tall, and it's the dimension that's on our drawing of 3.325. And now we're going to put this pocket in the bottom, and that's what this section view is showing us here. And it's showing us that it has a depth of 0.25 inches. One more thing, we have to know that the inside diameter of this is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 3.283. So we're actually going to use an offset command first thing, I think. So I'm going to go back to my bank, and I have the top plane. I left that turned on. You can leave that on or turn it off, doesn't really matter. I'm going to turn it off just because it's a little easier to deal with that way. I'm going to hit sketch. I'm going to click right on the bottom of this. I'm going to sit right click and say view normal to the sketch plane. Now I want to use the offset tool, which is right here, and I'm going to click on that outside diameter, and the arrow's pointing to the outside. I'm going to click and select to the inside, and I'm going to put in a distance of 0.015, which is 0.015. Well, maybe it didn't do it. No, it didn't. Let's hit enter. Oh no, it did do it. Here it is, 0.015. There we go. Okay, so now finish this. I'll look at this from an isometric again. I'm going to use the extrude tool, and this is going to be remove. And the things I want to remove is that right in the inside in the depth of 0.125 and hit the check mark. Well, actually I want to change that. I want to make that 0.25. Sorry, I forgot. That's what the dimension's supposed to be. And then I can check mark. Okay. Back to, I'm going to right click and say isometric view. And now that I've got that in there, what I can do is put on my shell. And I have a note on here for the shell that says use the shell command with a thickness of 0.125 inches. Okay. So back to our part. And I'm going to start my shell tool. I always have fun finding these little icons. Faces to remove is going to be this surface, and the distance, the shell thickness is going to be 0.125. Hit enter and green check mark, and I should be in the neighborhood of that diameter of 3.064 with this thing right now. Now, the next thing we need to do to this is we need to put these little bands, locations, these little arcs, or well, not arcs, these little cutouts. These are actually cut into the surface. If you look at this really close, yeah, maybe you can't see it. No, you can't. This only goes in 0.001 inches into the part. So it's pretty small. As a matter of fact, something I want to show you is if you want to ever measure something, is all you have to do is go to the item and click on it, and it tells me right down here in the lower right corner that the diameter of that feature is 3.311 inches. Okay, so I'm going to pause this and get set up for doing these little bands. Okay, I'm back on my tube drawing, and what you'll notice here is that these little bands are going to be a ½ an inch up from the bottom edge, and then the band itself is 1/2 an inch thick. The one at the top is ½ an inch down from the top, and it's also ½ an inch thick. So let's go back to our part right here. So this is our part. And I'm going to show you a neat little tool that they have in this software. And as all I did was I clicked on this little icon that sort of looks like a isometric cube. And all the way down at the bottom is turn section view on. And then it says section plane. And what this is going to do is it's going to cut the part in half. So I'm just going to select where it says front right here. And it just cut the part in half so that now I can see the inside of this thing. So I'm going to view this right from the front. Okay, now I'll just go up here to the top right now and start with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, I forgot one thing before I do that. Might as well do this sketch of a line here. Oh, I have to actually put a sketch plane on. So I'm going to start my sketch. Top. Front is the one I want to put it on. Okay, now I got my sketch plane going. Now we'll be in good shape. Okay, so now I'm going to use the rectangle tool. But first, I actually want to draw a line. I'm going to make this a construction line. I'm going to go right from the origin straight up. And I'll hit escape to escape the line command. Now I'm going to go to rectangle. I'm just going to go out here in space, and I'm going to draw this rectangle in to the middle of that wall. Okay, and I'm going to do a dimension from the edge of the rectangle that's inside the wall to that construction line, and I'm going to click, and we should know from our drawing over here that it says that the diameter of the bands is 3.311 inches. So I'll go back to this. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to put in 3.311, and because I don't want to do the math, I'm just going to divide that by 2. and hit enter. And you will probably not be able to see that that is indeed just inside of the edge of this thing. Now, dimension tool. I'm going to click on that line up there and this line here. This is going to be 0.5. And then I'm going to make this dimension here also 0.5. And I'm going to do, and I don't really care about this blue line out here. This is just to do a cut of this part. I'm going to do the same thing down here now. Corner rectangle, come out, draw it into there. Dimension tool. Where are you? Here we go. From that line to my center line, 3.311 divided by 2. And then I'm going to dimension from the bottom to this, and that's going to be 0.5, and the overall width is also 0.5. Okay, so that should complete my sketch. Now I'm going to go and look at this isometrically here, and I'm going to do revolve, and here in revolve I'm going to select remove. And it's asking me for faces and regions to revolve. So I'm going to click on those two rectangles. And then I'm going to select the revolve axis, which is my center line, and green check mark. And now I can go back and turn the section view off. And I have my part completely created now. One last thing to do to this. I'm going to highlight everything. And I'm going to go to this arrow right here. And let's see. I got to find that. Oh, I know. If I right click, there we go. I can assign material to this. So I'm going to select material here. Click on none. Just for right now, I'm just going to make this out of ABS, green check mark, and then I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to say edit appearance, and now I'm going to change this to, this is where I can change the color of this thing, and I'm going to change it to this green right here. Actually the part is like a metallic green, but this is certainly close enough. I can also do that with my top. So I'll highlight everything, right click, assign material. This actually is plastic, so I'll make that ABS, green check mark, then right click and edit the appearance. I'll put in that green and then check mark, and that is the end of the tube. Okay, there we go.